Hi friends, in this video we are going to study Introduction to Planning. We will be studying about the planning process group. What is planning? Planning is the first as well as most crucial function of management and is considered a foundation to all other functions of the management. It is also symbolic or can be called as a look ahead plan as it is the process of chalking out future plan of action. In the simplest of the sense, it is an act of process of making plans such as objectives, policies, procedures, and strategies for the complete life cycle of the project. Thus, planning is an intellectual attempt by a manager to anticipate the future for better organizational performance. A plan year can be defined as a detailed course of action designed today to do something for tomorrow. As mentioned earlier, construction of large project involves diverse agencies, government regulators, clients, owners, designers, consultants, and contractors. It is obvious that each agency carries its own planning exercise, and it's important to ensure planning coordination among all these agencies so that the agencies do not work at cross purposes and that the common goal is served. It should be noted that plans are drawn up at each stage or phases of a project and throughout different terminologies may be used depending upon the stage of the project. For example, initially when the project is at inception stage, the plan could be referred as a feasibility plan, whereas in engineering execution stage, such as preliminary plans, construction plans, etc. Moving ahead, knowing the PMI planning process group. This group consists of those processes that establish the total scope of the effort, define and refine the objectives, and develop the course of action required to attain those objectives. In this process, the components of the project management plan and project documents are developed to carry out the project. As more project information or characteristics are gathered and understood, additional planning will likely be required. Significant changes that occur throughout the project cycle may initiate a need to revisit one or more of the planning processes. This we have studied earlier in the process groups that how planning process is a reiterative step, that is whenever there is any changes happening during the execution stage also or while monitoring and control, planning group is immediately affected. It has to be changed until the entire process of execution comes to an end. When the initial planning effort is completed, the approved version of the project management plan is considered as a baseline. Thus, once the first schedule is fixed, a management baseline or a baseline sign off for the dates is done. If there are any changes, once again a new baseline will be created and it is signed off. Throughout the project, the monitoring and control process compare the project performance to the baselines. Thus, we tend to get the delays, lag, etc. This diagram shows the planning process overview. At the heart is develop project management plan. This actually integrates all other major knowledge areas like the project scope management, project schedule management, project cost management, project quality, project resource, project stakeholder management, project risk management, project procurement management, project resource, and communications management. One of the main Step here is project schedule management, which includes plan schedule management, then to define the activities, to sequence the activities, then estimate the activity duration, and to develop the schedule. We'll further learn what are the components, types of schedule, and how one can develop them in further lectures. Develop project management plan. The process definition goes as the process which entails defining, preparing, and coordinating all project plans and integrating them into comprehensive project management plan. This key document defines the basis of all project work. The project management plan is the only output of this process, which defines how the project is going to be executed, monitored, controlled, and closed. This process can further be again divided into the input, tools and techniques, and output diagram. In order to make a project management plan, the inputs required will be the project charter, the outputs from other processes, environmental factors for the enterprise, and the organizational process assets. Tools and techniques here would be through the means of expert judgment, other facilitation techniques, and the output is project management plan. Whenever there are any changes in the scope and budget, the project management plan needs to be continuously revised and updated. The basic construction planning activities can be delineated into the following six types. First is defining the scope of work. Since all activities involve consumption of different resources to different extents, it is important that the scope of work involved is properly and to the extent possible completely defined. Identifying activities involved. This part of planning is very closely linked to defining the scope and involves identifying the activities in a particular job. Since different activities involve consume different physical resources to varying extent, it is crucial that these activities are exhaustively listed. Establishing the project duration. This also means scheduling, and this can only be done with a clear knowledge of the required resources, productivities, and the activity interrelationships. The information is used to prepare a network diagram or any other kind of outlining the schedule. Thus, the project duration can be arrived at, and there should be a balance between the time and the project cost so as to make an optimum use of resources. Defining procedures for controlling and assigning resources. It is important that the planning document prepared is followed by others involved in the execution of the project or in its individual phases. Thus, the procedures to be followed for procurement and control of resources for different activities like manpower, machines, material, and money are also laid down. Next is developing appropriate interfaces. The planner needs to devise an appropriate system to inform the management, that is MIS, Management Information System Reporting. Various kinds of tools are used which will be learnt in detail. Last is updating and revising plans. Although the construction plan is continuously updated and revised, some basic issues should be borne in mind before drawing up a full-fledged plan. For example, the planner should clearly understand the product to be produced in terms of scope and expected performance. At the same time, the time and productivity aspects involved in the different activities should also be understood. Thus, we see that planning is one of the most important phases and involves all the key stakeholders of the project. Thus, success in the planning phase itself goes a long way in ensuring that the project is on track, is as per the scope, and does not overshoot the budget. Thank you.